Hello and welcome to episode 158 of the Gochuucast. Um, all right, how do we start this before we fucked it up? Uh,
Um,
I didn't watch
I
anime
Oh,
because I
hi.
played Elden Ring
Yeah.
Nightlight instead.
yeah, 100%.
I have way too many hours on the fucking game to be honest.
I mean,
We made a
100%.
joke about making
Was it
a
worth it? I
Gochuucast.
don't know.
We made
It
a
was
joke
fun.
about making a Gochuucast gaming channel. That happened. We're not doing it, but it was a funny joke. Um, I said Once Upon a Witch's Death was good again this week. Daniel needs to catch up.
I need to catch up on a lot of things. We called Lazarus Mid,
There's a
Fukusoul
new Love
Peak,
Live.
Mono Peak, new Love Live. That's a thing. Well, I mean, I guess it's not new technically, but it's gonna be a new anime form.
Yeah.
The characters already existed. Yeah, I think that covers it.
I said the Pacers are
Nice.
joking. No one cared, but I'm gonna bring it back because the Pacers are joking. That's it. That's what we missed. We didn't get too far into this recording before realizing that we had no voices.
Yeah. Could have been worse. Could have been further in.
Definitely
True,
could have been
true.
worse. We didn't even start talking about the 3 shows.
You know that would have been problematic.
Yeah, I think it would have been much harder to like redo talking about that stuff. We kind of talked a little bit about Apothecary Diaries, but I need to catch up so we can actually talk about it.
Yeah.
We mostly
I don't
talked
know.
about it being
Spence been
delayed
caught up with
again.
it.
No, I'm not, bro. I keep getting pings from my friend like every week, like, bro, it's peak, it's goated, it's insane this week, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, bro, I'm sorry.
Okay, the last thing we talked about, this is important, is how Crunchyroll gave Ninja Kamui the award for Best
Original.
Original because they are making more seasons and it's an industry plant and rigged, and I'm on board because it's funny to say that this was intentionally done by Crunchyroll to generate hype for season 2 and season 3, which got confirmed.
I mean, fuck it, sure. I agree. It probably is an industry plant. They knew that if they didn't let the judges have a second round of voting, that the
Nobody was
fans
watching
was gonna
season
have
2 or
seen any
season
of the
3.
others. And
Yep.
the only original anime people had seen was Ninja Kamui because people were like, "Oh my god, episode 1 had crazy action animation," and then it sucked ass the entire rest of the anime, as I predicted. I think on this podcast. If I didn't, then I said it somewhere. I knew it was gonna suck ass, and it did.
Yep.
So it's just one of those things where it's very clear to understand when something's gonna be mid as fuck, and but everyone just like pays attention to. I mean, obviously, it's good to like look at the names on a project, but like you can just sniff the mediocrity on some things, aka Lazarus.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
pretty mid.
Lesson of the day is anything Adult Swim is producing probably sucks.
I think that is a good take.
Ninja Kamui sucked ass. Uzumaki fell apart. Lazarus mid as fuck. Is there a single good anime that fucking Adult Swim has produced? Oh,
No.
I almost forgot Rick and Morty the anime. Of course, who could forget that?
No. Rick and Morty is also not good. I'll say it.
I haven't seen it
Damn,
since
bro,
season
pickle
3.
pickle Rick took that personally, bro. Dude, no memes. I thought I don't know if I mentioned this here. I don't think I have, but I've said this before. But like, I used to think Rick and Morty was like a meme show. Like nobody actually watched it because, like, you remember the Pickle Rick meme, like
Oh yeah.
the
I'm
Szechuan sauce.
convinced. I'm
I was like so
convinced.
convinced nobody actually watched it, but then I learned like people actually watch it. Like I was talking to people, like, yeah, have you seen the new like Rick and Morty episode? I'm like, wait, people actually watch this? It's not just like a internet meme that just got popular for no reason. I was like so convinced it was a meme, but
I'm
that's what
convinced
it is.
that new show that everyone posts clips from, is it like Smiling Friends or something like that? I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
convinced
there
that
is
is
a
a meme
show
show.
called Smiling Friends.
I don't. Is that?
I don't know if it's the one you're talking about.
Yes, yes, that's the show I'm talking about. I'm convinced nobody actually watches this show,
I don't know. I just think
but they
like
post
most
clips
adult
from it.
animations that are, and they're just like so uninspiring because they're all in the same boring flat 2D art style. Not that like they can't
Yeah,
be
I
good
would say that's
ever,
valid.
but like they're just like uninspiring. Great, I haven't watched Smiling Friends, so I'm not gonna say anything about it. But it's like I don't
I
know,
just feel like
like
animation in the West is not as like big of a concept. It is, which is like an obvious thing to say, right? But like for
I
things
mean
like
it used to be.
anime, hmm?
I said it used to be, which is the unfortunate part. Like we used to have like
Yeah,
the Disney
that's fair.
classics, where all like incredibly animated, and then eventually they're like, this 3D stuff is is probably a lot cheaper. Let's do that instead. Also easier than hand
Yeah,
drawing
like
everything.
I feel like the Japan animation industry has like a lot of motivation and reason to like advancing animation and like pushing on a lot of that stuff to do like really high quality stuff. But on the like American end of animation, everything, I don't think a lot of like American animation production cares about like pushing animation to its like limits or its like highest.
We need an American Go Hands.
Yeah, that's fair. I think most people, I guess in my thought is most people in the West just kind of see animation as like a way to deliver, like just another way that they can deliver a story, right? Instead of seeing it as like the way to deliver a story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We need more like go back to the glory days of like Nickelodeon Cartoon Network, bro. That's what we need to go back to.
Yeah, we ain't going back.
We're not going back, but we
We're in a
need
different dude.
to. We're not going
I
back.
see like clips of like
I quote
modern
Rugrats
SpongeBob
daily.
on my timeline, and I'm just like, my timeline has to be just the occasional like 14-year-old being like, modern SpongeBob is good, and I look at modern SpongeBob, and it's the most like horrendous shit I've ever seen in my life. It's like everything. It's weird. Like animation's it's technically gotten better, but like it doesn't. I don't know. It's just Zoomer pilled. If I
It's
had
the
to put it,
passion, bro.
if I had to put it anyway, like it's there's a lot of debates about over animation on anime Twitter, which I think is there's a word for that I'm not gonna say, but it's very dumb and stupid, and everything that comes out of anime Twitter sucks. But it almost feels like it has a point on like modern, like I don't want to say just specifically kid shows, but like SpongeBob, for example, was definitely, I mean, probably because it was a lot harder to animate back then, but definitely more static. And in modern SpongeBob, I mean, this motherfucker is changing facial expressions like every point 0.2 seconds, and I'm like, there's a lot just going on the screen, and that's like supposed to be the joke, as opposed to like letting the joke be the joke. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but we definitely need actually did see something about this earlier today. I think Disney like brought some animator out of retirement or something to like mentor people
Oh shit.
for the future of animation, which like
Okay.
can mean a lot of things. I don't know. Hopefully it's like a step in the right direction instead of like, all right guys, we are going to remake The Lion King again for the third time, but this time it's going to be in 3D animation or something like that, which I hope isn't the case.
3D Lion King just does not sound right. Like,
Well, the live action isn't right either, but it exists, so that's where we are.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but like 3D animation,
I
like
just
Pixar or something, that just does not sound right.
I just don't get the hype behind making live actions of everything.
I
And none of
mean,
them have really worked very well.
I think literally any of them have, and it's a matter of. I mean, I guess there's like multiple reasons they do it. One, because people are stupid and they will go see it, and two, because they want to maintain copyright. But I don't know. It's annoying. The consumer has so much power in the world. I think I've had the exact same rant before. The people are just stupid, and if people weren't stupid, we would be in a much better place in the world. But unfortunately, people are stupid.
Jeez.
The worst part about growing up is realizing just how dumb the average human being is, and it's more people than you would ever expect. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's funny how anime has like the exact opposite problem of like Western IPs, where anime will like never continue IPs that people actually like, but they'll shit out like 20 million new ones, which I both respect and hate. But I don't know, like
And then meanwhile we just get a absurd amount of content for the few things that
yeah, for the few things people actually go see. Like Food for the Soul is gonna end, and it has a decent following, I think, at least in Japan. And I may never see a season 2. I probably won't ever see a season 2. But if Food for the Soul was like in America, we'd have like Food for the Soul, then we'd have like Food for the Soul 2, then Food for the Soul reboot 20 years later. It's like there's it'd be a never ending thing. But
I remember when we got Rugrats All Grown Up.
Oh, true. I remember that. It could be like a
It
Mandela effect
actually
thing,
wasn't that bad, but it was
but
weird.
I swear we had like a series of all grown up shows. Like I swear there was like 3 or 4 in like succession.
I mean,
Like
reboots
Rugrats
have
and
been
then like
like a
I mean,
popular thing recently. Like, didn't they recently rebooted like Wizards of Waverly Place, fucking
did they
iCarly.
holy
really?
shit, that shit was
Yeah,
goated. Oh my god. I love that show.
I don't think Selena Gomez is coming back
Bro,
from
the
it though.
cat Salem, that's my guy, bro.
I mean, yeah, they just like rebooted 20 million shows. Except SpongeBob is like the one thing that will never. I just talked about it, but they're literally dedicating an entire separate Nick channel to just airing SpongeBob because they have literally nothing else.
Wait, really? Holy.
Yeah, it's like things like Nicktoons are like fuck. It's just
And
like
it'll
Nick
work.
SpongeBob now, and it will work, but it's dumb. SpongeBob peaked in season 3 and released some decent like gems after that, but for the most part, now it's just kind of
I
cooked.
think if I remember right, I looked Once Upon a Witch's Death. If it got a season 2, I think that would adapt all of the content it has. I think it's the web novel's finished. The light novel's not.
I don't know
But I think it
anything
was
about
about
it.
like 2 seasons worth of content. So if I ever see a season 2 for that, I know I'll get to conclude the story. If not, I probably won't get to conclude the story.
Yeah, that's another
Because
thing I
I
need to do. I just need
just
to.
can't do web novels.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I can't do web novels, but I read ReZero, so that's not true at all. I
They're
haven't
like
read any other
both
web novel.
equally they're equally hard to get a hold of and usually like clunky enough translations that I find it hard to get into them.
Yeah,
At least in my experience. I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions.
I just want to get back to reading in general. I just haven't done it in so long because I have all these anime behind on. Then I have these games that are coming out that I really like, and then I got work, school, social life. There's no time to sit down and fucking binge an entire light novel in there.
Time to
I mean, there
lose the
certainly
social
is,
life.
but sorry guys, can't
Yeah, I
bully
got some books from
anymore.
the library, and I'm just like, I've read like a third of one and like a quarter of another, and I'm like, bro, I'm never gonna finish this.
So that's why I like to read in one sitting. So if I do, I mean, granted, if I start something, I'm probably just
Yeah.
gonna go ahead and
I
finish it.
do
But
agree with this.
I wish I could,
but
but like,
if I just
I
sit
don't know.
down
I
for
can
like a couple
do
hours and just read a whole light novel like free, I'm done with
I
it.
can do most things in a single sitting pretty easily, but it's when I have to pause and then go do something else that it's a coin flip on whether I ever get back to whatever I was doing. It's reading, watching shows, any of that type of stuff.
Yeah, no. Once I get started, I can certainly keep going. But it's the getting started, not doesn't always happen.
It has to really hook me to get me to like come back immediately the next sitting.
Yeah.
And sometimes things do. When I watched season 1 of Apothecary Diaries, I like could not put that down. Like I would get free time and be like, okay, I can get 3 episodes in right now.
Yeah, I'm
Should
hoping.
we talk about our shows?
Yeah, we should. I was gonna say, I'm hoping I can like muster a bit of my binging capabilities that I used to have just to get through my backlog. And then when I don't have a backlog, I feel like that's gonna open up my brain to do other things and to not fall behind to begin with. But it's a long journey ahead of me. But if I just put
I will never catch up on
all
my backlog, and that's fine.
if I put all the time that I've spent on games recently into anime, then I will be more than fine. Well, I'll be more than ahead.
If I put all the time that I've spent recently, do I want to admit this on the podcast? Maybe
Yeah,
not.
you do. Yep. Nope, you already
Did
said
I?
it.
I might have actually talked about this last week. I don't remember if this was on podcast or not. If I spent all the time in the past week watching anime instead of watching Among Us videos on YouTube
You were
What?
in the
watching
year
That's
Among Us
crazy.
2025.
videos in
What,
2025.
like
I
lore videos
okay,
or like
hold on,
competitive
hold
or
on,
like
hold on,
what? Like
hold
what?
on, hold on. It's Alpha Rad and his friend group
Uh-huh.
playing
Yeah,
Among
okay, buddy.
Us,
Oh, it's
and
just
they're
like
funny, and it's a fun group. Um, and they happen to be playing Among Us. I can't defend myself here. All right, I'm gonna make that clear.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have
But
revealed
if
this on the podcast.
I warned you. If I had spent that amount of time watching anime, I'd probably be caught up on at least a couple more shows this season.
See, now when I have to think of like why hasn't PK watched Clannad in the multiple years that he should have done it, I have to make oh yeah, he watched Among Us
Among
instead of
Us.
PK in 2025.
I've
My opinion.
definitely, I've definitely in the year 2025 watched more Among Us in total runtime than the total of Clannad. I'll say that. I don't actually know how long Clannad is, but
Clannad
12
is
episodes.
first season. No, first season's 23. Second one or after story is 22 plus some extras. But
So that's like 15 hours. I probably haven't watched that much Among Us,
Okay.
but
That makes
maybe.
me feel a lot better.
makes me feel a little
I
better,
don't know.
not a lot better. The fact that he was like almost confident enough to say that he's watched more Among Us than Clannad is still disheartening in some capacity. But
It's just a funny group. You
I
know,
don't know. I've seen one Alpha Red
sometimes
video and it
sometimes
didn't really jive with me. But
that's fair. Um I don't know, sometimes you just find YouTube content and you like vibe with the people and it's like I don't really care what they're doing. Like this is entertaining. It's kind of how I feel about that where I'm like Among Us isn't something I'm particularly like looking for or enjoy, but it has a bunch of people that I like being entertained by and find
I'm glad you said
entertaining.
that instead of the opposite. I'm just like an Among Us enthusiast.
Just looking for Among Us content.
Okay.
really love Among Us.
It's just funny to think about watching Among Us videos in 2025. You know?
Yeah, we've gone too far. Time to start talking about our shows. Let's see.
Let's go.
According to the randomizer,
We got
I
the
will
wheel.
never.
we will be
I will never
starting
socially recover from this.
with Your Forma, then Summer Pockets, then Witch Watch.
Okay. Your
Ooh,
former.
interesting order this week. We're ending with Witch Watch. Your Forma.
This
What
is
happened?
kind of
This
pissed me off at the end. I'm not gonna lie.
this episode
what to
really
piss you
pissed me
off.
off at the end. To be
What to
clear,
piss you off first.
should we start from the beginning though, or should we go
Sure.
straight into
Sure.
why we're pissed off?
Let's just start from the beginning. We can work our way into my rant.
Sure.
Okay, so first little bit, it was Homie being like, "Yeah, Homie took the clone of Sozon
Yeah.
to
But then
try and like motivate police to start looking into the case again."
Yeah.
But then his ass got murked
So he got killed by the real
by the actual
Nightmare.
murderer.
Yeah. For being a copycat, which, I mean, I was gonna say fair enough. Not really, but like, I wonder. I mean, I feel like that's probably
It's
happened before. Feels like something that would just happen in real life. Like someone's a copycat murderer, and someone like
yeah.
steals the
Someone
cut of
it
their
gets
jib.
pissed off and is like,
It's like, hey,
yeah,
it's my shit. They start. They go find him and kill him. I mean, granted. I mean, you would have to do better police work than the actual police to find out who the copycat is, but
hmm
yeah, I don't know. But
they kept emphasizing this episode. It's starting there, and then later on, because in the middle there was the weird melodrama of like whether he should be involved in the case or not, and whether she should be involved in the case or
I don't know if I'd
not.
call it melodrama per se, because I think
I
I can see where she's coming from it, because she knows that he doesn't have laws of respect actually, so she's worried about what's going to
yeah
transpire, which we kind of saw a little hint of when he very aggressively grabbed the shoulder of Sozan's mom. Um,
yeah, and
and
it
then
wasn't like the type of thing that I think any of them clocked as like going out of line in that type of way, but it was also
yeah,
something
'cause
that
it didn't
like
harm her per se, so they're probably like, okay, a little weird, but maybe he just felt that would be like the most
not
effective
like it
way of
explicitly. Yeah.
yeah. That part was uh interesting, even though I can see why you'd say it's melodramatic, but
It was mostly like them having this argument and him just like turning to the guy and being like, "Yeah, she's not emotionally stable. Get her off the case." And I was like, "Oh, okay." That's also not necessarily a great response to this, but okay.
yeah, I
Um,
mean he was upset, which I think it's interesting that we're seeing that side of him more because of this personal case, but um
it's probably good in a way that we're seeing like this side of him more
I mean he's definitely the most
because like
interesting character at the current moment.
yeah.
yeah, I agree. Well,
Um, but yeah, and then so what I was gonna say, because they kind of talked about this with the faker when he got murdered, but also after this part when Nikolai goes missing.
Right.
In both cases they kind of talk about like hinting that the nightmare must be someone close to them or something along those lines to kind of
Right.
get them to go. And then so when we get to the end and we get the cyber inspector getting a call from Biga to come out to a specific location, it's it becomes more clear that like, oh, the information we got earlier about the clones of people and everything is relevant here in some way, because that's theoretically how the nightmare is luring people out.
Right.
Yeah.
However, comma, our cyber inspector might be stupid.
See, this is what I was gonna say. I feel like there's enough information on the table at this point in this.
She could have figured this out. The second I saw the phone call from Biga, I was like, listen, I know that I am a person watching a show, so I know that there's going to be a catch, sure. But, like, I felt like
See,
it was
that's what
very
I thought when I was
obvious.
like starting to like complain about it in my head. I'm like, I'm the one watching the show. I'm like, but you know what? She's the one working the fucking case. She knows more about this shit than I do. It's not like in theory. Like, think about this, right?
But here's
we're in a
yeah,
world where people can call each other on their brain phones, basically, and Biga is calling you from a fucking payphone. Why would she do that?
Yeah, the
Would,
fact that it's like a
she,
public phone, like that was like listed
why
there,
would she
like
do that?
I knew something was up, bro.
And then,
but you know what's
so
also
obvious.
weird?
No one
the phone call didn't make any sense.
Yeah, the phone call was like, oh yeah, I asked for permission. It's like, no one told you this, and it's like you, in your message to Harold, you didn't say, you just like left the most vague message ever, and it's like,
yeah,
this all goes
her
back
message to Harold didn't help.
Remember that was the one Mal review from a few episodes into this, where people are like, isn't she supposed to be smart? This is how I feel now. Is she stupid? Because there's no, the only thing I can think of, I really hope this show redeems her or something, and she got kidnapped on purpose or something. Because there's literally no way you walk into that situation where people are constantly, in this case, being killed because they were getting lured, theoretically by someone they know. And so, and then you have all this voice copy and stuff, and it's like, maybe there's some sort of link there. Now you're being called from a payphone just like all the other fucking people who got murdered, and it's from a caller with no ID from someone who could very well call you with an ID because they can call you
location
in their head, from a random location, and they're like, oh yeah, I talked to all these people for you. It's just like, no, that just didn't happen. And like,
if it is a part of her plan and this is on purpose, then fine. But if she got legitimately tricked here, I'm sick of her. This isn't even the first time we've seen her just be stupid and put herself into bad situations when she's supposed to be this like really smart, really capable inspector.
Yeah, no, see, it's really funny though, like in all three shows that we're watching right now, like every single main heroine might be an idiot, like genuinely stupid. There's not a single intelligent female character that we're watching right now, and it's quite wild.
There's two of them in Witch Watch, and they both might be
There's 4 of them in some of her pockets, like.
Oh.
Yeah, it's quite something.
If she fell for it, she didn't even question why Biga, of all people, would have any information on the nightmare. Yeah, because earlier we saw Biga, and it was established like, oh, she's working on
she's
her
working
shit
on a
right now.
completely different case. We've established
like, why would
that,
she have anything?
Like, she didn't think to call Harold like on her own before for whatever the fuck. I can't remember exactly what they talked about, but basically, like, she's too like nervous probably to like call him about anything because she has her crush. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
How we end up in this situation where this is like very obviously the most trap of all time, and you're just like, yep, all right, let's lock in.
Now I will give her some potential benefit of the doubt here, in the sense that it feels like the most obvious trap of all time, and that vague text message might be something like, I don't know, the tone of her sending the text message saying I might be a little late specifically, to me, has some part of it that makes sense if it's like she knows that she's gonna be confronting the nightmare rather than Biga.
The only way,
but it's still weird
saved
in a narrative context.
Yeah, because this was my complaint when Harold figured out the nightmare. If she does figure out who the nightmare is through this. This was my complaint with Harold in that situation, where he found out where the fucking nightmare was, and he didn't tell a
He
soul.
just went there.
And he went there, and he got fucking murked, and then had to watch someone get chainsawed to death in front of him. Just, these people just don't communicate. Which is,
Yeah.
like, one of the most important things in, like, a law, like, enforcement, anything, like, agency. Like,
So
whatever
my
department
thought,
you're in.
because she does specifically not want him to make contact with the nightmare,
Right.
I still need to see the conclusion and the information of how she's going about this, if she is doing this on purpose. But there is some degree in my head that makes sense of her trying to keep him away from the nightmare in a
I mean,
way
you
where
could
it's like,
just
if
get,
she
like, the
knows.
police involved in that case. Just be like, hey, I think I
Yeah, yeah,
know
yeah.
what's happening here, rather than just go missing and cause more problems.
Yeah. And that's where I'm like, I need to see all the information, but she's pissing me off right now. But I do think it is not like fully out of left field if they were like, oh, this is a part of some plan of hers. Like, I think they've planted a few things where I'm like, I'm not fully happy with them, but I can understand and get behind if it's like, oh yeah, when she said this or did this, it was like a hint of some sort towards her trying to do this by herself or trying to
If
do this
nothing
without him.
else, I'm pretty excited for the next episode because
Next
she may have been
episode,
stupid, but it's a cliffhanger. So
here's the thing.
I'm in.
Here's the thing. Next episode, and Daniel probably will agree with me on this. Next episode probably will determine whether I like this show or not. I
Wow.
think the next episode has a lot of implications on my overall feeling of this show.
Why? What would make you dislike it if she didn't have a plan?
If she didn't have a plan, she just gets caught by the nightmare, and then she has to get bailed out by the fact that he doesn't have the laws of respect again. And like, I don't know, just stuff like that. Like, I don't think the next episode has to be like a full like narrative masterpiece or anything either. It's just like,
I just wish I could see her being a
at least
genius at
have a
any point in
plan.
time.
At least have a plan and have the plan go well.
She doesn't have a plan, bro.
It doesn't, like, the plan doesn't have to go perfect. Like, it's fine if she has a plan and it like goes okay, but then Harold shows up and is able to like pick up the plan from there or whatever, and then between the two of them they solve things or something, right? Like, I'm not saying that she needs to do it all by herself and have the perfect plan. I'm saying if her ass got caught in another stupid trap, I'm pissed.
This
And
would be the
it's
third
gonna,
arc in a row she's been led to a trap.
yeah. And it's just, it feels like, to me, this show so far has felt like it's really close to being really good. And then it gets to like the climax and it'll do the most obvious things it can.
Yeah, like, a lot of the mystery just kind of stems from you not having information, I guess. So like, if we think back to the first arc, like, I mean, right, we didn't fucking have volume 1, so if I can't say for sure if we were supposed to have information there. But I mean, the next arc after that, it's like, yep, here's this case that you've never heard of because it's either volume 1 or we're just now bringing it to you. And then we
Mm-hmm.
were very quickly able to deduce that, like, this new character we have here, a little suspicious. And then we gave the show the benefit of the doubt, and we came up with different theories that it wasn't her. It was. Uh, and now we have where we currently are, where we basically have no information on this case at the moment. We have like one guy we're maybe a little suspicious of just because he's new and prominent. which seems to be like the main issue. Every time they introduce a new prominent character, it's like
Yeah.
he might be a little questionable.
Suspicious.
And it's not even like when I say that I suspect the forensics guy, it's not like I have anything behind that, right? It just I see a character that seems to be in a role that's like important enough and able to access enough information to do the things that they're doing, and I'm like, yeah, it'll probably be that guy because they're gonna make it someone that we like when the nightmare is unmasked. It's like almost certainly going to be someone that we're like,
Him.
oh, it was him or her. It's going to be the grandma.
I don't. I think they would have caught
No,
her
I don't know about
eventually.
that one.
Maybe
Well, okay,
Sounds
okay, relax.
they
Okay,
literally would have caught her in
relax.
this episode if they had, she brain dives in. It's like, oh, there it is. There, she's the killer. That's
Oh,
it.
we can see her killing. I hope it's not. This is something I didn't really think about until the second half of this episode, and I don't really think this is the case, but I hope it's not Nikolai.
Mm.
That was kind of a thought I had in the second half, where I was like, I don't really think it's him, nor do I think we would care that
I don't
much
think
if
it
it was
makes
him.
sense to be him. Granted, I don't know, cause like the
So here's my thing. Because this whole time I've been trying to figure out one specific thing about the nightmare, which is
why did
after
he go after
why did he
Sozin?
stop?
Oh, why did he
Why did
stop?
he stop after he killed Sozin?
Probably like
Right?
they could like
Oh,
take
right.
care of the mom, maybe.
So that's yeah, so that's where like the idea of maybe it's Nikolai comes into play is I can't possibly know what the nightmare's motivations are with this information we've had.
Right.
But what I can say is the fact that the nightmare hasn't done anything since Sozin's death makes me feel like that was the goal of the original nightmare was to get to Sozan somehow. Now, I
Then
don't
why would you
really
start
know
killing again though? Like recently, like he wouldn't get just
recently.
that mad about a copycat trying to
So,
kill him.
yeah, so that's where it's weird, right? So the copycat did the thing, and then we know that the nightmare got pissed and killed the copycat and is now theoretically kidnapped Echika, which then makes me wonder if the goal of the nightmare is getting rid of people close to Harold.
Well, I mean, the
Oh,
problem with that
Is
is he
like
killed other people before, so like I don't know. I feel like there's no if you're just gonna kill. Because think about this, they had a way
Sozin,
to
you just go,
contact
you get
him
Sozin.
before, and so you could
Yeah,
still just tell him, "Hey, come to this questionable location," and he would have even less suspicion potentially at that point if you know him and you just invade
yeah,
him
because
there.
there's not even a murderer out there.
Yeah, and then you murk him. So I don't know. It feels very complex to get specifically to him. What I find interesting is that theoretically this voice copier has access to these voices that would be connected to the police. So it being an inside job
Yeah,
feels like it makes more sense.
yeah.
But because like they would have had to gotten Biga's voice somehow, and then someone close to
mhm,
Sozin to draw him in. I don't know. It's just if it's some
I would agree. And
conspiracy
like I said,
within the detectives, like police units and stuff, I just find it weird there would have been prior victims.
oh, I agree. And like I said, I don't think it is Nikolai. It was just a thought I had, but that thought stems from the fact that because we don't know anything about the nightmare's motivations, it's just extremely weird to me that the nightmare went on like such a killing spree and happened to stop after Sozin's death. And I feel like that is significant regardless. Or at least it should be significant. Because if it's not significant, then I'm also pissed off because I'm like, well, why? I don't think serial killers just stop,
I mean, some of them do.
I guess.
Like, didn't the
Maybe,
Zodiac just
maybe. That's
stop
fair.
randomly?
I guess fair point. Maybe I don't know enough about serial killers.
I don't
You
know. I
haven't watched
mean,
enough
It
like
just
true
felt
there's
crime
odd to
technically
me.
just
documentaries.
a lot of, because I mean, the definition of a serial killer is someone who I think has just killed like multiple people within like a certain time frame. Um,
Sounds right.
yeah, I mean, it's like it's probably just the more like high profile ones that they kill for however long and they get caught because they keep doing it. Basically, I guess. I don't know. Anyway,
I don't feel like I don't understand serial killers as a concept to begin with, but the only thing I understand slash think of with it is it's like not a motivation thing, but like adrenaline slash like getting the rush type thing,
It is for a lot of them, yeah.
and probably
which
just
is
depends on like psychological, like I don't know, because a lot of them have like
yeah,
the same signs growing up and stuff about like psychopathic tendencies, stuff like that. I mean, I don't know, we're not a true crime podcast, but
yeah. So then by that logic, which probably just doesn't apply, but by that logic, then it would be like that type of serial killer in this scenario should logically keep killing after Sozin's death because they're still like chasing that rush or
Maybe.
something like that. So then in my head it's like, okay, well, if the serial killer stopped, then it wouldn't be about that. It would be about some form of motivation or something like that, which is a flawed line of thinking, but I don't know. It's me trying to like contextualize this weird like gap that we have between Sozin's death and now, where in theory the nightmare has not done anything, and I don't know why.
yeah, I don't know.
Explain the gap in your resume.
I was chilling, bro. I was big chilling. That's it.
Yeah, he's just taking a quick break, you know.
He'll be back.
But yeah, I don't know. I think this arc is really interesting.
Yeah, I like
So
it.
that's the other reason why I say like next episode could really like make or break the show for me, because it's like I think where we're at in this arc is really interesting, and there are definitely things it could do to make me be like, okay, this is worth like the payoff of this was worth the journey here being rough
Right.
at times, but not bad. Like I don't think the show's been bad. I think it's just
It's been
I've wanted
underwhelming,
more.
I feel like.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, if they like really knock out the next two episodes, I might come out of this and be like, okay, I see the vision. That was fun. That was interesting. Um, and if they don't, then I'm just gonna be like, yeah, this was a miss. So we'll see.
Speaking of underwhelming, Summer Pockets, this second arc was
That's a good transition.
was an arc of all time for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
I
This
don't know.
this
This episode
was
is like whatever.
this was like the rawest form of cry bait in anime.
I hated the stupid song at the end. Anyway, we can start from the beginning, I guess.
Dude got
What do you
so
mean you
mad when
hated the
I
song?
knew you'd hate the
Mew,
Mewtwo, the
Yeah.
Mewtwo
Mew.
song.
They made a song out
I
of it, bro.
also
Like really?
also
Yeah,
knew
they said
he'd hate
make it
the
the
song.
lyrics, you know.
I guess.
Julie made half the lyrics.
Yeah, you know, we only had
Um,
like one boob joke the entire episode. All right, you gotta
Yeah, true, right. When the
you gotta
didn't we
beginning
have
when
live
she like
two?
gifts the bra, yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
was
I
like,
thought
I
there
was
was
rolling
another
my
one
eyes,
I
before
bro.
don't
that.
think there was. Definitely not before that, because I was like, we've gone this entire episode without getting a single boob joke, and then they threw it in there. I'm like, oh fuck, whatever, never mind. And he like looked at her
I thought there was.
chest at the start of the
It's not
episode, but
important.
that's just like classic Summer
Yeah,
Pockets at this
that's
point.
not.
It's like the least surprising thing ever. He does that to literally everybody.
Yeah. I really wanted to like. I didn't dislike this arc, but I really wanted to like it more because I like her design, and I thought Sumugi, the little bits we saw before the arc of her, I was like, oh, she seems like she'll be fun. Maybe I'll like her. And then we kind of got into her arc. It's like, she's not quite my type of character.
I mean, just ignoring that, I feel like her circumstances were extremely underwhelming.
Yeah, I would
Like,
agree with that.
if we think about the previous arc, it certainly wasn't perfect, but I think, it subverted my expectations on a very common trope. I made a rant about that trope, and then completely, flipped it on its head. It did something interesting, at the very least. Even if it was, a bit, predictable in a sense. But this one was just, it had a concept that wasn't particularly interesting, and it ran with it, and it tripped and fell, and then scraped its knees. I don't know. It's just I wasn't too interested in Tsumugi as a character. There's nothing interesting particularly surrounding her, because we figured out pretty quickly she was the bear. And then when we do find the real Tsumugi or whatever, who got
We
transported
didn't really
away.
do anything with her.
Yeah, we didn't do anything really. We just had this butterfly world that we're just like, wow, this is okay. And then he just left, and he never thought about it ever again. And it's like, okay.
So this was kind of like my issue with it also. So comparing arcs, right? I felt like the first arc with Kamome, we kind of were able to kind of pick up her arc from where she was and complete it, right? I didn't feel like with the Sumugi arc, we completed the character arc that is because it's the way I think of both these characters was they're characters with broken character arcs, right? So in the case of Kamame, it's in a more literal sense because she wasn't able to achieve this thing that she wanted to do, and so we did it. And with Samugi, it's a bit of the previous Samugi, what happened with her, and then it's also with our Samugi, kind of discovering what it is that she wants in life. Which I guess the latter we kind of got a solution to, but also not really. But then the former Sumugi, we just kind of supped and then left. And I didn't feel like anything with the character arc was solved or concluded really.
It was kind of
It was
left the original one hanging.
and in turn, because we left the original one hanging, the solution to the current one is we can
They
meet
can
her
just
every
come.
summer.
Yeah, which seems why do these butterflies only function in summer?
I don't. So that's what's weird about it too. I guess the implication is Sumugi is only around in the summer. Perhaps that is
Oh yeah.
related to these butterflies. Um,
Oh, I
simply
didn't
because
even
they
think
are.
about actually the butterflies and the relation to the summer, the summer itself,
Because I mean,
the
think about Umi once
time
again. We
period.
saw her dissipate into
Turn to a
whatever.
butterfly, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what the relation is there between these weird butterfly magic things and the summer. But
Yeah, I still feel like I don't know because there were a bunch of them in that field, and when
yeah,
you met the real,
where Homegirl got
like,
spirited away
why are
to.
there 500 of them?
Yeah, there's a bajillion of
Like,
these
Mm-hmm.
butterflies, and it's like, okay, and like
yeah, that's the part I'm very interested
they
in.
feel like they needed the thing with Clan Ed's weird supernatural side. It never felt like it needed an explanation. You just kind of understood what the concept was, and then you didn't really need more than that. But now
In these, I feel
in
like I
summer
need to
pockets,
know.
it's like, okay, why? I need, because it's much more involved than I feel like most of Key's supernatural stuff is. So
Yeah,
why are we here right now?
clearly this is a vehicle for all of our main heroines in some way, shape, or form.
Right, I will be interested now because okay, so we've had basically two ghost girls in these arcs, practically. But now we have two verifiably
The other two
real
are
human
very
beings.
real.
Yes.
Yeah.
So where do we go now, and how do these butterflies fit into them? So I mean, I guess what's likely to happen is that dog thing, cat, dog, fox, blue
Is
motherfucker
in
is
theory
gonna be
related to something.
is going to be related to Ao, the blue hair, purple hair, whatever the fuck her hair is, girl. And then Umi is probably going to relate to Shiroha in some capacity.
I think Umi and Shiro are gonna be related in
So,
some way.
because they need something supernatural tied to both of them based on how things have been going here. So, I just don't know how the. I mean, fucking think about this, right? We in 10 episodes, we fucking speed ran two girls. I'll be interested to see how quickly we go through the next
How
one,
quick? Yeah.
and however long that takes will basically be because I mean, we have another 16 episodes, right? So it could go 8 and 8, or they could quickly go through Ao and then be like, okay, we got like a whole anime's worth for Shiroha, and because she's the main girl.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah.
There's also like the little from the extra version if they wanted to do like little mini 2 episode things of the extra arcs
I don't think they would.
for like
They'd be in the
I don't necessarily
cubicles
think
if
they
they
will
would.
either. I'm just saying like that's a possibility, but yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they did a long one for Shiroha and assumably Umi. And then also that's where we kind of get like whatever amount of explanation we're owed about these butterflies and shit going on.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. This to me, the first arc, I really liked. The second arc just didn't really do it for me. I felt like
Yeah, I prefer the first one too.
in the first one we were able to like kind of assess what's going on and come up with the satisfactory like solution and result of everything regardless of whether she actually woke up from her coma or not.
Right.
And then this one I didn't really feel satisfied with the result. I think I was fine if it was done a little differently, even with her turning back into the bear and only appearing in the summers or something like that. But I didn't like that we like established the existence of the original Tsumugi as basically just an explanation for why she's a sentient teddy bear and not as like a plot point for us to figure out and help resolve
You know, it
as a
almost
means to
felt
also
like
resolve our Tsumugi.
they were sitting there like going through their list of heroines, and they're like, already did the dying girl one. Like, what do we do now? And they're like, well, what if she like just became a teddy bear instead, and it came back
Yeah.
sometimes? I don't know. It feels like a very like yeah, I don't know. Very they were looking for tears, and they just, I don't know. They failed the bait there.
Yeah, because like the whole like if they're looking for tears, that's fine. But then why did they give us Tsumugi and Shizuku as like the characters for it? Which is their whole goal in this whole thing is just have a good summer, no crying. In this episode, especially, right? Um, I don't know. I think it almost felt like they tried to take a more not necessarily realistic approach to this, but a more like hard approach to this by introducing this supernatural phenomena with the original Tsumugi and then establishing like Hyrie can't actually solve that in any way, so he has to just deal with the consequences of it.
Right.
But I feel like I probably would have rather just had the more like tropey conclusion of he helps the original Tsumugi solve her trauma and in turn then gets to just have his happy ever after with his teddy bear that is now his Tsumugi permanently. Like it felt like they went for a bittersweet ending of like vibe, but also gave us an out at the same time. And I'm like, I almost feel like I'd rather just have not had the out of like she comes back next summer, and maybe that's an anime only thing. Similar to how people talked about the coma being like less obvious, but
Yeah.
I wonder if they ever
um
explain the butterflies thing in the visual novel or when that comes out, but I don't know.
surely. But yeah, so I don't know. Um this arc definitely could have been better. It had its good things, but I think her and Shizuku were both like a little too unserious for me.
Um, I, I can't stand Shizuku.
I'm looking through. Apparently, this game is overwhelmingly positive on Steam. I'm seeing this review here.
Yeah, I
Uh,
looked it up. I was like
don't watch the
5.0.
anime. It spoils and rushes too much.
You see the review I posted earlier? It was-
Um,
The funniest part of this arc was when she sang the song at the end and she referred to Shizuku as the cow.
was kind of bored, and then Shizuku started talking about boobies, so I had to lock in and listen to her life-changing lines already. I don't know, I'm wondering what I can definitely feel it's rushed in some capacities. There's no way that fucking Shiroha has like just that fat of a route specifically, and none of these other girls do. But
Yeah, I kind of get the feeling that we're gonna rush through the other girls arc and then get like the full Shiroha arc.
these people are like, yeah, this is like peak fiction and stuff like that. I know somebody who like that who is very unserious, but when this anime was coming out, they're like, "Oh my god, Summer Pockets! Like, come on, you gotta watch Summer Pockets." And then the anime came out, they're like, "You don't gotta watch Summer Pockets. You gotta play the game." So I don't know. All right, Gochu Gaming, lock in. We're playing Summer Pockets on Gochu Gaming,
Playing
Oh
Summer
baby.
Pockets.
playing Summer Pockets. Yeah, no, it's interesting, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of where we are right now. Maybe
Apparently, the original version of her song people say is a lot better,
the
which is
original.
interesting to me.
What do you mean, like the original
Like
version, like
the
the
Summer
Steam
Pockets
game
game
version?
version. Yeah.
Was there like more
Apparently, they re-recorded the anime version because I think it's a different voice
voice?
actress.
Oh sure. To make
Uh,
it more consistent or whatever. Yeah.
I don't know. I might listen to that later just out of curiosity. That's just something I'm seeing people talk about, but
let's see. Summer Pockets. No, it's the same voice actress. It says the voice actor for Tsumugi Wenders in Summer Pockets anime and video game is Emery EY.
fair
And
enough.
voices, yeah, she also voices. Okay, it says and video game, but then also says in the visual novel version she also voices her. So I don't know what the fuck it means by that, but
Oh, apparently they cut uh a pretty important scene with the conclusion of this, which it can be implied, right? But apparently in the novel there is a scene of the original Sumugi and Bear Sumugi reuniting, which she goes back, and apparently in that scene, the reason why she's able to come back in the summers is because of their like reunion and conversation in that final scene.
Okay, well.
interesting. I mean,
Because
why
basically,
can't she just
um,
stay?
well, I don't know. So here's what it says exactly. So it says they cut the reunion of Sumugi and Sumugi-chan, and then it says Sumugi-chan was the reason why Sumugi even returned a year later because she realized that Sumugi had her own people to care about, including a lover. Um, So I don't know. That doesn't necessarily even say that she didn't come back a year later and just stay permanently. It just says there was some sort of scene between the two of them that at least explains why she came back at all. We didn't get that in the anime. She just showed up. It was like, oh, okay. I guess so. Yeah. I'm just reading comments on the episode because it's interesting to hear what some of people say.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm also having to narrowly dodge people saying shit about future arcs. It's going well
Yeah,
so
I feel
far,
like
but
that's a recipe for just getting
It's
spoiled.
I
definitely a
feel like
recipe for
I'm kind of
disaster.
close. I feel like I'm kind of close on some things that like things that I'm seeing that I don't know what they mean, and then a spoiler underneath, and I'm like, I'm not gonna click that spoiler, but I know that that's going to do
Yeah,
something.
I think it's time to
Um,
stop looking at those actually, and so we don't get spoiled.
no, it's fine. I'm not reading the spoiler comments. Where I'm safe.
Yeah. Same
I
guy who
feel
read
safe here.
ahead on one of our watches as well, though.
Okay, but I I could be wrong about this. The first part of Witch Watch, do we have anything else to say about Summer Pockets, or are we
I don't think
transitioning?
so. I think we're done complaining.
No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
So first part of Witch Watch with the student council stuff,
Mhm.
I don't think I
It was
read
funny.
this. I think this
Interesting.
in the context of the series, I think this happens after the content that we're getting next.
It's
I
odd.
think it was rearranged because they are going to end the first
Okay,
core in a specific place, and I agree with that decision.
I
But I think
see.
this was put there to kind of um like fill time here because I think there was also the episode before. I don't. Was there something in the episode before that I didn't?
I don't know.
No, everything in the episode before I saw. Okay, this one so the first part with the student council, I don't believe I read, but I might have just forgotten it.
I don't think you would have forgotten these motherfuckers, I'm not gonna lie.
I also agree. Let me see.
Dude, I like the guy who couldn't remove his hand from his hat. That was so funny. I love
Yes.
that guy.
So these episodes take place chapter 38 and 39 of the manga. And the chapters beforehand, not the chapters beforehand, but the for context, the stuff with the lover's tree was 16 and 17, and the other most of the other content we've seen is like 18 to the 20s. So they just kind of like took the student council stuff and tossed it back over here. Um Kind of interesting and funny. It's also a lot later than I thought it would be. 38, 39. But yes. So the first half of this episode was new content for me. Is the point.
Alright, well,
Yep.
I mean, the problem is next episode, now it's not new content. Now you've seen this already.
Yeah, that's true. This is all I've seen.
Alright.
After episode probably 12, maybe 13, I'll be at the same place.
Okay.
Surely you wouldn't read ahead again, Otis.
Did you guys hear something? That was weird.
Wow.
Alright.
Ignored. That's crazy.
No, no, I won't read anymore. I've been guilted over this already once. I
You
don't want to hear it
Shamed.
again.
you can read after the season's over. Actually, that's an interesting thing that I think about it. So, like, let's say we for example, finish Witch Watch, right? And Witch Watch season 2 comes out eventually. Would we then
Have to.
review Witch Watch season 2 by default, or would we have to pick it up again, like
No,
as a choice?
I think
No.
we would have to pick it up again as a choice. But I also
Because what if like
think,
the first season of a show sucks? Like,
well, I
you
was
know?
gonna
Well,
say,
yeah, but
I
that's the
also
thing
think
though.
it would have to
We don't
be,
hate Witch Watch, is what I mean.
yeah. I think it would have
We'll
to be
pick it
like a
again, though.
banger too, right?
Right.
Like we like Witch Watch, so we could have a conversation if season 2 came out about like, do we want to talk about Witch Watch again on like a full time basis?
Right.
But it's also the type of show in this case
It's not
where
really
we
a
might
big
want to
discussion
decide not
show,
to.
Yeah.
regardless. But
Yeah. But like if the podcast was doing this when like ReZero season 1 came out or something like that, we would then be super invested in and have a lot of things to say,
right.
then I think it would definitely be an option we would want.
All right. I never thought about that. I mean,
I
this
don't
was
think we
the
should
obvious.
automatically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree that we shouldn't automatically do it. But in the event that it is a banger potential.
I definitely think if it's a banger, we would want to bring it back.
Go back in time, I choose the Rent a Girlfriend's new or author's new manga. We have to watch that, and season 2 comes out.
It
We have to watch
pisses
that
me
too.
off every time I see it because I think the girls' designs are so cute, and that's what he does.
He is good at making
But it's
making
probably
girls.
garbage.
Yeah, I mean, I
I probably
guarantee
don't
it
even
is.
need to add the word probably. I'm just being nice.
You know what the worst part is? People eat
Um,
that shit up too. They're like, all right, cute girls, I'm on board. Whatever happens, happens. I'm like, all right.
I'm people, not in this case, but I'm
I'm
not gonna act
I
like I'm
am also
above.
people, but like I understand when like I mean this is like you know how Tyrese Halliburton is like the Halliban now? Like we need like a terrorist themed nickname for Ragey.
Okay, I'm given current events in the world,
That's true.
maybe we should stay away, bro. Just to put that one out there.
That like just
Um,
started, you know, not my fun. I wasn't thinking about it. No, anyway.
um, how, um, I do think the Halliburton was a hilarious nickname for NBA Twitter to give Tyrese Halliburton. Um, that's my only input here. Anyway, yeah,
Which
like
watch?
I love a good like see a like some slop with a bunch of cute girl designs and just say, you know what, fuck it, I'm here for the ride, but within reason. But
Right.
Witch Watch, there was a lot of weird designs in Witch Watch this week
Yeah,
as we met the student council.
this was a eccentric group for sure.
I kind of like the gimmick behind the student council
Like they're
where
all
they would
just
just,
different tropes.
yeah, they were basically just like, well, how do we make a funny student council? Um, give them the gimmick of all being extremely different and
Like
like
very
to the
unstudent
max
council.
of tropes. Very unstudent council.
Like none of them are
It
in
fits this
uniform.
show.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, anything could happen in the show. I'll say it fits the show because the show has no standard for what fits the show. It just things happen, and then you're just like, "Yep, that's Witch Watch
Yeah.
for you."
Yeah. But student council seems like a fun group. I don't really know if I have any expectations for them to be like individually important or do
They're
Probably not.
they're
anything.
gonna
I
disappear
gave
just
up
like
hope
the
after the
umbrella.
umbrella, bro.
The umbrella, the most useful character we've had so far.
Yeah. Um the end of it was, I think it's funny that they've established the student council president as like a little bit of a gag character. They can just like randomly appear and try to hit him with his sword to force him to join the student council.
I wonder if he's got like a secret power. Like if he takes his hand off his hat, like something happens. I wonder, or is it literally just stuck?
The
in
hand
his...
on his hat thing was kind of funny.
Like, is it genuinely
When he
stuck
was just
there? Or
like,
is it
I
stuck there
just
for a
can't
reason?
move. I think it's stuck there because it's his trope. That's the gag
I mean, see,
with
that's
it.
what I'm thinking, but like, surely it's not just that.
Unlock his secret power by taking his hand off.
Yeah,
But yeah, student council seems fun. Some of them more than others, but that's what happens when you have like 8 super tropey characters that you're introduced to, and it's like some of the tropes are going to be ones I find interesting, and some are not. I laughed a little when they had the guy who's the psychopath who likes to lick knives cut his tongue with the knife. It has
that was pretty
it.
funny. Yeah,
He's like, I have a little boo boo. It needs to just take like a little tissue to take care of it. And it wasn't like a dramatic or badass thing or anything like that. It was just like an ouchie moment, and it felt like a character break in a way that I was like, okay, that's kind of funny.
yeah, it was goofy. It was goofy for sure.
Yeah, there's not a ton to say about them. This was mostly just introducing us to the student council.
I
Yeah,
did think it was funny how they pointed out all the tropes of like not all the tropes of but like some common ones. I always like that. It's like kind of I guess it's not meta because it's not specific to this show specifically, but like anime itself. I like that.
I think it's funny that they um made a gag of the student council president wanting to make him join the student council because he's the missing trope.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that was a funny little poke at Otogi being a somewhat trophy character as well. Um, Not in a bad way, but it just made me laugh because I was like, okay, that the reasoning behind that being like, oh, you're the trope that we're missing the student council, and not being like, oh, you would be useful, made me laugh. It was a nice first half, and the second half of the episode, Catgirl's back.
Yeah. Speaking of stupid characters,
Yeah,
not the sharpest knife in the also, this brings back my one complaint from a while ago where I'm like, why the fuck is this guy who like allegedly has trained his senses to the absolute maximum to, like, just not notice these things? I mean, he was laughing, not paying attention, I guess, but like, it just defeats the purpose of what he's supposed to be,
yeah.
theoretically.
I think because it's him laughing this time, I find this one more forgivable because laughter has kind of been established to be like the one major like character break he has with the whole like seriousness and everything, but I would
Yeah.
agree. Um yeah, I find it funny that she just defaults to cat form when she's around them, and then it immediately gets like a post nut clarity-esque feeling afterwards. It's like, why am I a cat right now?
Yeah.
Why can't I just talk to them as person?
I wonder if she, I mean, you know the answer to this, but if she'll actually, like, roll up and explain things. Or I was fully expecting her to get caught, to be honest. And she walked in as a cat, but that didn't happen. So she's chill for now, I guess. But we'll see. And
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
also the
I mean
the other thing I
Sebastian, because we've
noticed
seen it already.
I have
the
not
other
read as much as you think.
You still read all
I'm
this,
like
specifically all of this right now that
I'm
we're
like
speculating on at
specifically
this moment in time.
I am specifically like 6 chapters ahead of where we're currently at. Probably, I'm just making a guess,
Hey, you know what? That's
but
2
okay, the
episodes.
thing I
Go
noticed
for it.
was that at the end of the episode, it said, or like I guess like the preview for the next episode was like
Yeah,
something's part one. So this is like
the dog, and the raindrops or whatever the fuck.
this guy
Kind of
watches
fucked up.
previews.
Bro, what do you
You're
mean?
you're flaming me for reading, but this guy's watching preview.
To be fair, this episode didn't it jump like immediately into the preview
It
and show
kind
the
of did
title?
just
There
immediately
was
go into the
there
So it's
was
like
preview.
no ending. This
the next. If it's part one, that means it's going to be like multiple episodes. So I'm
So
excited
this
for
is
that at least.
yes. So this is a major arc coming up.
Okay, there we go.
Kind of. The as far as I know, I don't think the Witch Watch major arcs are like the 50 episode crazy arcs that
um,
content in like an arcy way. But
did PK cut out for you too, or is that just B?
I don't know. We haven't had a single arc this entire show, so
Am I being heard? Hello?
Oh, it might just. Hello. Yeah, I
Oh,
can hear you.
okay. I
Oh?
think my connection like pooed itself for a second.
Oop.
No.
I didn't lose it.
Hello.
Well, hello.
Hello?
Yeah, no. It's everything's fine on my end.
Okay. I think we're fine. No?
I think we're good.
Bet.
I think
Where
there's
were
been
we?
like a lot of storms
Part one.
where I am. Earlier today, I heard a big boom. My power flickered. I don't know what got something blew up. I feel like, but I don't know. House is fine.
Just now?
No, not just now. Thankfully, not just now, or else that'd been really awkward. We would have not had an episode if half just now. It was like earlier in the day. I don't remember exactly when, but
That would have been hype for them to hear on the podcast, though.
they wouldn't have heard it on the podcast because my computer would have shut off, and I would have not had the episode.
Fair point. Anyway, yeah, there's not too much we can say about the rest of this episode. It was mostly just Catgirl shenanigans again, and her love of being pet and washed. But yeah, so the end of the episode, when she runs away, and she ends up kind of like eavesdropping on this little meeting with the warlock and the other guy.
Yeah, it's interesting that she called the one. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming it's a lady. It's got a lady's voice actress, so I don't know why she's a warlock and not a witch. Because usually the warlock is like the male version of a witch. So I don't know.
I will say there is a reason for that. I don't really buy it very much.
Is it just
And
like
we'll talk about it when it
evil
comes up.
witches or warlocks or something? But
Yes, basically.
okay. I
To put it
gotta call
lightly.
it something.
Yeah, there's to put it in simple normal terms, that's pretty much how it is. But yes, it is the warlock is a woman, which
Okay.
does make that slightly confusing.
Also, how far did she run out of the house? I was like, oh, is she like right in his
it's not.
backyard?
I think it's not that far, but it's also not like his backyard. Yeah.
I was like, wow, okay, nobody's noticed anything, but yeah, makes sense. It wouldn't be that close.
The cat ran away. They left the door open. What can you do?
Yeah.
I think it's more funny that like, so sure, they didn't notice her transform back, but they also didn't notice her literally just walk out.
She did it quickly. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, they were all laughing, you know. It's just I don't fucking know.
But yeah, so we know that the warlock and the dude are after Nico,
Yeah, she's in danger.
and they have 50 people.
Yeah, this is unrelated to that. It's still related to the episode. When she's being like washed as a cat, I couldn't help but think to it, the Lover episode, where something
What?
of similar happened.
Oh, too
In a
lovely.
much more
Were
questionable manner.
they a cat?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like
There was, they were turned. It was someone who got turned into a cat.
Okay.
Yeah. You can think
I
about how the
don't
rest
need to
turned
know
out.
anything more. I'm good.
It went about exactly how you'd expect it to Lover episode 2 go.
To Love Rue has a really good opening song.
Which one?
Is there multiple?
There's 4 seasons.
Okay, let me find the specific one. There's one that I really like. Yeah, it's the Forever We Can Make It. So it's the first season.
Okay, I know what that one sounds like. Unless I don't know if that season has 2 openings or not. I don't think it does. I don't know if I've ever heard 2 openings to it, but it's been a minute
It's
since
the
I've watched it.
first 26 episodes.
Okay, yeah, I know what it is then.
I like this song. Anyway, but yeah, so what's fun about this is normally we don't have a lot to talk about with Witch Watch because it's very like episode of the day.
So
Like
we're gonna
most
get
of the chapters are kind of
we're
fun
gonna get 2
standalone things.
episodes that we're actually able to talk about.
Yeah, we're gonna have some episodes that will actually have plot points for us to discuss that I totally don't know the answers to.
In just like a few weeks, we'll
Smile.
have to choose new shows to talk about. I mean, I say that, but we still have Summer Pockets and Witch Watch continuing after that. But
Yeah, it's also like we'll probably have an interesting discussion because I don't know. I haven't looked too much at next season, but given our limitations on what we can pick, there is a part of me that's like, are we even going to have 3 full new shows to talk about
I'm sure
that we'll want to do?
I'm sure we'll
I
have
mean,
stuff.
maybe we will.
You gotta think about how
There's
much
always
shit just
stuff
comes
when
out.
we're shopping. Yeah, there's always stuff when we're shopping that we find and we're like, oh, that's interesting. I mean, Your Forma was not something any of us knew about
There
prior.
is one thing I'm looking at right now that I was gonna watch anyway, but it's kind of short, right? It's only gonna be 6 episodes, so I'm thinking maybe I
What is
choose that.
that?
It's called Takapi's Original Sin. I don't know anything about it other than I think I thought about reading it at one point, then I saw I got an anime, the classic, and so I didn't do that.
Oh, this.
And it
I
comes out
see.
in a couple weeks, and it's only gonna be 6 episodes, so
It's a cute little octopus thingy.
yeah. So we'll
That's it.
see. You said that's it. All right.
That's it. That's my reaction.
All right. We'll
Wait,
see.
what's it called? Takapi's.
Takapi's Original
Takapi no
Sin.
Genzai. There's a
Oh, okay,
mineral
okay.
collecting anime.
Yeah, I think it's either I think it's Studio Bind doing it. Yeah, it is. I was gonna say it's basically
Yeah, it is.
very similar character design to like Onimai.
Flower and Ashura. I didn't even realize that was Studio Bind.
Yeah, they've been doing more stuff recently. I've honestly liked pretty much everything they put out so far. So I'll probably watch The Rock, the Mineral Collection anime.
That's just such a funny. Like, this is one of those sentences where I'm like, I'm down, but saying these words makes me feel like we've gone too far.
And you know what? Sometimes, I mean, the
But that's for
fucking
shopping.
you never know what's gonna be a banger anime. You just gotta let the wind take you.
It's true.
Speaking of the wind, I don't know. I'm just gonna end the episode here though. I didn't have a good segue. Yeah, that'll be the end of this episode. If you enjoyed, remember to like, comment, subscribe, rate 5 stars, all that good stuff. Is the Order an Anime Podcast? We are the only one, can't possibly miss us no matter what platform you wish to view it on, audio only or YouTube. Every Saturday, 3 p.m. EST without fail, except for when you do, or when we do. Not when you do. If you fail to listen to an episode, though, I guess you technically do fail every Saturday, 3 p.m. EST. Anyway, once again, thank you, and we hope to see you in another episode. Goodbye.